Hi. If you guys can let me know if you can hear me because I don't have my whole mic situation today. But hi Kaden. Hi Casey. Can you hear me? Yes, no. You can. Yay. Okay. Cool. Because I'm not sure what we were gonna do if you couldn't. Ooh. But yay. Hold on. Let me get my little bookie book. Hi everyone. Well, thanks for coming. So, my name's Christina Parrish, aka victim of Bruce Lashley and his lies, hence the Lashley lies, you know? So, I looked up on this thing because I really liked the microphone situation. It makes me feel like I'm in court in case I never get to go. But, hi. But I was wondering what this sabiduria, I know I didn't say it right, so somebody who knows how to say that word, you could, I don't know, spell it out for us. But anyways, I was like, oh no, this is the only one with this cool court, like, mic feature, and I want to use it. But, I didn't know what that word meant, so I looked it up, and it meant wisdom. So I was like, I mean, assuming that Google is correct, that's what it means, so it's fine. If it means something terrible, hey, Bonnie, if it means something terrible, then I am sorry, because I did not know. Also, I don't have my cute little mic thing because, I know it's funny, right? Here's a winging all of life, actually. I have had so many people, and by so many people, I mean like 3, but that's a lot for a couple weeks, right? So, like, I've had like 3 people be like, you're my role model. And I just looked at them like, actually one of them, I told them that was a terrible role model because you're going to need like a really good legal team and a really good counselor. I have one. You can message me. I'll give you her information, but she can't get so busy that she can't see me because it's a little imperative that she sees me, you know? So I'm just kind of letting people jump on because today is going to be more like a question answer from last week when we like went through this ginormous PCA book. I have it if you want to see more stuff, but I still haven't gotten fancy enough to like set up something to where you can read it the right way. So I could show you guys stuff backwards if you really wanted to. Or after these, I post them like to my YouTube at Lashley Lies, so the videos. So we could do it to where I think I could probably post like pictures there of the documents if you wanted to read them like the right way. And I know like all the hearting, I'm not still really sure how to do this. I'm supposed to be hearting. Hello everyone. Hello. So if I'm doing something wrong, tell me. This is like my 3rd one, so I still am not great at it. But if you have any questions, like I said earlier, I am doing this on my iPad, so I can see like a little bit better, but I'm still pretty blind. So, you saw the gadget something. What? Oh, okay. Wow, we're gonna get fancy apparently. Jess says not today, but after this. So, again, my name's Christina Parrish. If you're just coming on. So you could be forward. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I feel like we need, right? Because you can't even read my one felony. Can you see it? One felony at a time. Oh, sorry. Oh, this has become my slogan, kind of. But I have another fun shirt that's coming next. And I mean, if we're going to get into the whole merch thing, I feel like this one and the one that's coming next, maybe we could do a poll. I don't know. You guys tell me. So we did the whole, going through a whole bunch of information last week. And I know it was like rapid fire. And I feel like we hit the highlights. Like, I'm unguilty. But if you guys have like questions about that from last week or about anything, feel free to Just comment. How many, see, I've got to let it roll up until it's like, how many women got a house, a ring, a dog, and how many did he try to get the gifts back from? Oh, Bruce. Okay. So, tiny bit of background before I answer, because I feel like I should probably do that, right? If there's new people here and you don't live in Charlotte County and you did not see my face all over Fox News, poor you, because it was a goodie. Google my name, Christina with a K, Parrish, and you will see the mugshot. That is, they did me dirty. Like, I touched on it last week. It was like, I look like this, I think. Both my eyes open all the way, just so everybody knows. Like, they're still small, but they open. They're functional to a certain degree. So anyways, I worked for the most powerful man in Southwest Florida. It's what he calls himself. And I did not do everything that he wanted me to do after his partner, who I liked a lot better than him, passed away. So he fired me, but then a whole year later, in this super weird way, I get a phone call, blah, 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 come in, explain your side of this pretend situation that they wouldn't tell me anything about, the non-detective Christopher Farley. And basically he was saying I like embezzled or stole like somewhere around $200,000 from him. Okay. I feel like if I worked for you for like 5-6 years, and that's like a lot of money, but especially for somebody who can only move money into accounts themselves. Like, I could never move money into any account. So basically, my rich and powerful boss, Bruce Lashley, I didn't work for him anymore. A year later, his daughter starts working for him. She's concerned, I'm sure, about her inheritance because, I'm going to answer your question in a minute, SS, yes. Because he just, like, you know, was getting engaged all the time, and like $240,000 ring over here. They called it, like, we all kind of started referring to it as the girlfriend package. So every new girlfriend would very quickly, like maybe a week, sometimes less, become a fiance. Once you were like that long-term girlfriend / fiance, then you would get the girlfriend package. And that included generally a car, sometimes a house, nearly always a dog. I would call it the kiss of death. By the time they got into the relationship where there was like, what do they call those dogs? Little cavaliers or something? I don't know. Bruce has dogs like all over town now. Like, instead of children, they're dogs. So, what happened in the houses I got with him? Okay, I'm going to answer both those in a second. So, you know, I even got a notepad this time to help my ADD. Oh, Lord, I probably don't have a pen. What is wrong with me? I need, like, an assistant. Anybody want to be, like, my assistant? Hold on. Found one. Okay, so how many girls got houses? I'll get you. What happened in my houses? Got you. Okay, so with the girlfriend package, so he had his very first assistant got a house. You get a house, you get a house, you get a house. Okay, no. So she got a house. I do need someone too, okay? I would probably be like the most annoying person though, because you probably have to delegate to have an assistant. I'm not great at that. I'm just like a tornado everywhere. So anyways, his very first assistant got a house. She is the one who told me whenever I think I posted something on Facebook one day and was like, oh, you know, I was predominantly like a stay-at-home mom. And then my kids all got older, like school age. And so then I think I posted something on Facebook, you know, the old people thing, like new to TikTok, Facebook, I have like down low. It's like my kid's baby book. So I put on there like looking for maybe something part-time while my kids are in school. You can only do so much laundry, right? And then I had someone that I knew from high school reach out to me and say, oh, my former, you know, boss, I work for one of his other companies now, but I used to work for him and he was great, blah, blah, blah. And I think he would be great. And so in 2019, I met him and her at FPC, which was one of the companies that he was an owner of, but again, not like a managing owner. He doesn't really have anything to do with any of these jobs. He just, it gets like checks, right, if they have money. So he basically like helps start them or puts up the capital to start them generally, and then we'll just stay on as like an owner, get royalty checks. But so that's why it's funny if you were to actually read the PCA, which is public record on the Charlotte County Clerk of Courts. Hi, Roger. He's cool. See, like, I like everybody else involved in this except for Bruce and non-Detective Farley, and Bruce's daughter. But I kind of only just like don't like her because I feel like everybody should ask more questions, okay? So basically, I worked from 2019, blah, blah, blah. In between then, there's tons of girlfriends, tons of stuff. The person who said that I should work for him first was his first assistant. She got a house, but this was years and years and years ago, right out of high school. And she never had to pay for her house except until at the time he was married. And so, to the mother of his kids. So, she found out about the house somehow, and then it had to kind of get worked into this weird deal where it looked like it was something legitimate, but it actually wasn't. And then she would say that she had to start paying for it at that time because the wife was involved. By the time I started working for him, he was on the tail end of getting divorced from her. So my first job, like, you know, the first things I was doing for him was basically writing, working with his attorney and writing out operating agreements for their divorce so that he didn't have to pay his attorney to do it. And so she would basically take my draft and kind of go over, see, this is what he does. He doesn't like to actually pay for things. He likes to kind of expense them. So that was how I first started. And no, I've been asked so many times, like, did you know the kind of person he was when you started working for him? No. To explain that again, I'm old, and so when we, back then, before we had all these things and all the social media, I went to Port Charlotte High School, graduate O2. If you were at Charlotte, I only ever went across the bridge, maybe for a football game where we would lose terribly. Terribly. I don't even know why we kept going. Now Port Charlotte's great, but who knew? Let her talk, don't be rude. Who's being rude? I don't even know because I can't read all this stuff because I'm kind of blind. You don't need to say what he said last week. I do though. Listen, I have this person who is telling me that I have to explain every single time. So I have to give like background for those people who don't know, or everybody will be in my phone asking me, why didn't I say this? So I'm trying to be as brief as possible. But, so that girl got a house. Lots of girlfriends got houses. You would, like I said, girlfriend house, girlfriend package normally included a car, plastic surgery, a dog, at like an Amex card for sure. And then on the back, and then, some of them got to be part of a business. That part got really annoying because after the breakup, it's really hard to get people off of businesses. It's way easier to let them have the house or the ring or the whatever. But yeah, so they normally got like, 200,000 plus ring. One girl got two. I don't know if she did special, but impressive. And then, just as quick as they came, they would, get moved out. Hey, Matt the mover. He knows all about this because he would move one out and move the other one right back in. I can't even make this up by myself. So, so the houses that I had with him. So 2019, I started working for him. He's getting a divorce. I did not realize that end of 2019 would be the beginning of, the end of my marriage. 2020, we would be divorced because everything was in my ex-husband's name at the time. Bruce was like, it's okay, you don't have credit, all these dogs, all these kids, all this stuff. And he said, I'll just get you a house. We can put it, in Lashley USA or your name or whatever. So he and his mom, he ended up buying a house cash for me and my kids to live in 2020. And then his mom ended up coming on it somehow to where they would both, now I never paid a penny for this house, mind you, ever. It was sort of like in-kind payment. So I did all Bruce's life stuff for, he just took care of everything because one, he could avoid employment taxes, and two, he could write it all off on his taxes. Okay. And he also really loves those Amex points. So everything that you could put on Amex, he wanted that, or it would come out of Lashley USA's checking account. Lashley USA's checking account, where apparently I defrauded him all this money, is only funded by Bruce himself. A super easy, IP address search. Thank you I love this, right? Such a good look. Super easy IP address search by any detective would show you that money could only be moved into that account from Bruce Lashley himself. So how one can steal all this money from him without being able to move the money that you're stealing into it's literally so ridiculous. But round and round we go. His daughter came on after I left and I think was like, Dad, where are you spending all of my inheritance? And he was like, oh, I didn't do that. And I really think sometimes the truth is we want it to be overcomplicated, but I feel like the truth is it's super simple. Like that. I don't believe that he thought that it was going to turn into all of this. I do believe, and I'm not the only one, that he doesn't want to really keep going, like doing this, but once you set this thing in motion and you ask your buddy Prumel's friend to come to your house and, you know, get out a homemade spreadsheet, and these are all the things that, you know, his daughter's saying that he had no idea about, never asked any questions, and then that one person, Christopher Farley, got that one paper notarized, and they were able to issue an arrest warrant, and I turned myself in. There you go, cake lady. Sorry. I am specifically told that I have to redo it almost every time a little bit. So, he made it look like he held the mortgage for you and you paid him. Okay, so I don't know exactly how many girls got houses. I know tons of girls got, you know, the rings and dogs and cars and plastic surgery. I was just given a list today of things I'm not allowed to say too, which is really long. So I'm going to try to do that too. It's a lot of thinking. So I did have a mortgage. So no, but like, you know, ask him to produce mortgage payments, right? Like the state won't be able to do that because I never made mortgage payments ever. So, he bought the house in so there's two houses between Bruce and I. The one he bought in 2020 stayed in his name until after Ian. And I mean like right after Ian. The roof was messed up. The screen was gone. The huge tree in the front fell over on the car. So now this house is damaged. A substantial amount of damage, but livable, okay? So at that time he was dating a girl in Sarasota. And they had a house in Sarasota. And so every time he had a new girlfriend, our relationship, my job kind of changed. He would get like more distant depending on the girlfriend. If they really liked me, then we would, you know, hang out together, do all, you know, like vacation together, all the things. If they were like older than me normally and like a little less secure, then normally there would be like space created. So my life kind of like did this a little bit depending on that. Now I always still worked for one of his other companies and got a paycheck. So first it was with Florida Premier Contractors. Then after COVID, I went over and I started working for Southwest Land Developers. That's where I was getting a paycheck from Southwest Land Developers. And I predominantly worked with his partner, the much, 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 much richer of the two, and the majority owner of everything he was a part of, Rick Treeorgy. Rick passed away suddenly in October of 23. And right after that, in October of 23, right after that, like days after that, I was fired because I wouldn't write like $300,000 checks for Bruce out of an account I never had written of before. So the house, I did sign a mortgage for we'll just call it Riverbank house that I lived in for basically the whole time I worked for him. But I didn't sign the mortgage until 22, right after Ian, with all sorts of hurricane damage, okay? I'm not like a genius, but I'm also not stupid. You know, the agreement between us was like, here, just, you know, basically it shows any of his girlfriend / fiancés that, you know, I'm not living in his house. So we wanted that on paper. So I think it was maybe creating a little bit of tension on the home front. And then also he said, because it would, you know, further my own financial profile. So I sign it with all kinds of hurricane damage, knowing that I'm not going to pay him still. And I didn't at all. So I sign it you know, whenever, what he was like right now, basically, of 22. And it wouldn't be until 23 that, you know, Bruce and I would separate, and wouldn't be until 24 that this, like, you know, whole crazy PCA thing happens and whatever. I won't call it an investigation because it was not that. So anyway, so there's that house. And so after I got her, so I lived in that house, until like last summer, and I think I made 3 payments on that house ever, the entirety that I lived there. And I'll tell you, I got fired and terminated for, what was it? Excessive vacation days or something, which is hilarious because you know, the majority owner of SLD will tell you that I didn't have a schedule, 1, and 2, Bruce was the one who was MIA, not me. I was always there. So anyways, so I lived in the house. I signed in 22. After I was terminated in 23, so him and his mom were both held the mortgage, right? And we can even talk more about that, actually. The kind of like, so on paper, the only money that I made was from SLD. And I think like my W-2 from like 22 or something was like $55,000. Like, it was basically just like free money, like, because all my expenses were, everything that I got or wanted was like paid for by Bruce. So I would have never qualified for a mortgage for that house with that income. So then you can go back and look at the whole like Frank Dodd Act, like federal, like if you are giving out mortgages as a person, like even as like a personal person, you're still responsible like a, you know, like a bank, like a mortgage, you know. So so the whole fake mortgage basically would be considered predatory lending in the sense of I would have never qualified that. So it was just like one more thing that he kind of had over my head. So when he terminated me in October 23, he's like, and I quote, you were not loyal to me because I wouldn't write the checks, and because, you know, I told, you know, Rick's daughter that he was acting weird, and he was acting weird, and in a lot of different ways, like 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours after his like partner of however long passed away. You know, we can't even like walk in the office without being upset. Obviously, I'm not gonna go rummage through his, like, I couldn't even be in his, you know, in like he had his own office and I had one, but when we worked together, I was always across the desk from him, Rick. It's really hard to be in that place in general, but especially in his office. So I was not going to go and rummage through his, you know, office to find this checkbook that I'd never written out of. And so Bruce was super mad about that. And so it's when he was terminating me, screaming in my face, I mean, like this close to my face, just like spit, like all this. If he wouldn't go back, let me like go back in to like get my stuff. I'm like backing up. Rick had a whole bunch of cars still in Muscle Car City. It would like used to be the museum. And then at this point, he didn't have like museum cars, which is personal cars. And we just worked out of that. It was like a secret layer office. Okay. So he did have a guy who would take care of all the cars though, start them regularly, make sure that the hurricane damaged roof wasn't, you know, leaking on them, all this stuff. And he was hard of hearing, you guys, and is elderly, a kind way to say it. The sweetest guy, and he since passed, but in a terrible way, but he was super kind. He was hard of hearing, you guys, and he was in the very back of this huge building, if you've ever seen it. He came running up to the front because Bruce was screaming so aggressively that he had no idea what was going on. So Bruce, I have text messages from Bruce that morning, like, okay, see you in the office. And then as soon as he realized that I couldn't do what he wanted me to do, which I think was, you know, kind of get him enough liquid to get ahead in these LLCs, or, you know, so that he could buy more shares after he realized he wasn't going to still have like Rick's proxy basically. And then when I couldn't do that, and then he was super mad, screaming at me, all this stuff, he said, and I quote, you were not loyal to me, you were not loyal to Rick, you were not loyal to my mom, I'm going to kick you and your kids out on the street, blah, blah, blah. So at this point, I never even really thought about the mortgage before because I never had to pay it. But now I'm like, crud, what do I do, right? So without kind of like an alternative and all this stuff happening super fast, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just like write him, you know, or I'll like just give him like 3 cashier's checks for like the next 3 months rent, just so I could figure something out. That's the only 3 times I ever paid for that house, and I lived there years before and probably close to a year after. I'm not going to time. So I think it was like the summer of 24 that I had moved. So that whole entire time, I only paid 3 of them in cashier's checks. It's the only time they're going to be able to show that I did. And that was just because I was like, oh man, what can I do, like, while I think? And then afterward, it was like, why am I going to keep paying you for this? I never paid before. And then it kind of like establishes that you've been paying. So I didn't. Oh no, I was not his wife. I was his assistant. His platonic assistant. But, you know, we were friends, and I did know everything about his life. And I managed a lot. Bruce always managed his own money. Let's get that super clear. Bruce, you could not steal $10 from Bruce. I promise. I would love someone to try. Like, you do an experiment and try. But he gets text messages to his phone about what has been spent. Like I said, you know, Cake Lady does not want me to go over every single thing from last week. So you guys are going to have to go to my YouTube and like watch last week's whole hour live, for everybody who's back and asking more questions, because it will explain a lot of stuff. But, I'm trying to laugh at all these. Back and asking more questions, because it will explain a lot of stuff. But, I'm trying to laugh at all these. and gonna have to, like, you know, figure out, you know, getting that off of my credit report and, you know, handled on the other side of this criminal part. Does that make sense? I hope so. I'm sorry, Cake Lady, but I like you, and I'm just trying to explain myself. I still can't believe, was I his wife? Ugh. Poor wives. He had, so I think he only had one more wife after his original wife, Barb. And he was trying to hurry up and divorce Barb so that he could marry this girl from Naples. And then he did put her on a company, and it was really hard getting her off of that. I had to do a lot of that. Yeah, he got like a DUI in 2019, and that, like, my job was like getting his mugshot off of the internet. That pretty one up there behind me, that one. He hates that one. So that was his first one. He did get another DUI. So does he still own all his shares? Rick is gone. So his shares didn't change in the corporations, right? So like Smugglers, Southwest Land Developers, who I work for, like those. But any LLC, like Florida Premier Contractors, Southwest Engineering, all that, he didn't like have a job in any of these LLCs, like Hardy, which was, you know, Old Harbor Social, like all that. He never actually worked for any of these. He just got paychecks. They have like operating owners that run all of them. So even like calls himself CEO or something on his Facebooks or all this stuff. He doesn't. No, he's not. No, he's not. And nor has he ever been. But so his shares wouldn't have been affected in the sense where Rick passed and his changed because he passed. Right? So, but on the LLCs, Rick's estate would be bought out of the LLCs at fair market value. So Bruce likes to live at the very top of his means. So that was why he wanted that cash money, you know, because he knew, after I told him, that the LLCs, the companies that were owned in LLCs, like, they were going to get bought out, which would mean that there were going to be open shares available. And, you know, you'd have to look through the operating agreements to, like, you know, exactly how, but it would be at fair market value. And then those other owners would get to also buy shares. So, you know, if 10 were given up and there's, you know, 5 other owners, everybody has a chance, you know, basically it could just like even out again. But without Rick's shares, Bruce no longer has a voice, basically, which was making him freak out because he's gotten to run around forever and just, you know, and act like the boss and all this stuff, but he's never actually been a boss of anything. Rick was always the majority owner of the majority of everything. And so Bruce would have to come into our little lair if there was going to be money involved or big changes, any kind of like raise it, like that kind of stuff. When it came to money, Rick controlled the pocketbook. He was the Oz behind the screen, but he didn't want, you know, all the people and all the stuff. He had his museum for a while, you know, he loved cars and he loved making money, showing a profit. He was into all of that and, you know, investing, a little bit of like developing, but he didn't care to go and be the face of all the things. He literally had his own restaurant put into his own museum, and he would drive from his house right down the road to his office, get lunch at his own museum, you know, and he was like pretty reclusive in that way. And so Bruce got to, you know, okay, you know, what's the plan, or, you know, what's the decision? And then he would get to kind of run with it publicly. So it looked like Bruce had a lot more control all over than he actually did. Same as the Crab House. It's not named after him. They have other crab houses that Smugglers owns. And it's like Harpoon's Crab House in Tampa and Harpoon's Crab House in Tennessee. The only reason this one singular place is called Lashley is because it was on Lashley Court, which is also not about Bruce. His dad was mayor a long time ago. So that's why it's all that. So basically everybody thinks that Bruce is more rich and powerful than he is. And I think that that's why he's run through so many girlfriends. Because, you know, they get a cool ring, get to ride on a rented jet for a minute, and then realize it's not as, you know, it's not what it looks like. You're not you're not engaged to Rick. You're engaged to Bruce. And they're very different things. So does he still get paychecks from his LLCs? Yes. So that would, yeah. I mean, depending on his shares and everything would depend on, you know, either his royalties from something or his, you know, his owners, you know, like, it's not a draw, but you see what I'm saying? What's the word? Not owner payouts either. Oh man. Disbursements. So the owners would get to, you know, they would get money based on, you know, and every kind of business was a little bit different the way that they did it. But generally it would happen, you know, after all their taxes, after all their expenses, you know, all that. And then they would get, you know, whatever profit then would be split between the owners based on that percentage. So, so basically Bruce is panicking because without Rick, he doesn't have control. And, but his, distributions, there you go. Thank you. So yes, so they would get distributions. And so all those would depend on his share in that company. So if he didn't have the liquid to buy more of those shares in those LLCs, he not only was going to lose Rick's, you know, voice, you know, he got to go to all the meetings and say what was going to happen like it was his idea, but it wasn't. This is why all the checkbooks were always in Rick's office. And the SLD computer was always in Rick's office. I remember when we first moved into Muscle Car City big building, when Bruce and I moved our office from FPC to Muscle Car City, we had like 2 like conjoined offices, and then Rick had an office right in the middle of Muscle Car City, so own little like circle there. And then there was another back office, and that's where the SLD, who I got a paycheck from, and worked with Rick, like that was my, like, you know, my paycheck job. Simultaneously I worked with Bruce, and then that was my like in kind. He paid for everything because I worked for him 24/7 4 years for real. Took care of his mom, did work at his daughter's house, like whatever that family needed, I was their person. So no, does Bruce own the Florida Premier Contractors? So Bruce is he owns shares in it. He is an owner, but he's not like a managing owner. He gets distributions, but he doesn't work there. He doesn't, no, but, so I mean, you guys can look up, so much of this stuff is public record too. Like you can look up on Sunbiz, you can search his name, and you can see the LLCs or companies that he's associated with. But like, yeah, he's not, I mean, Bruce doesn't work. He like spends and creates havoc that I would clean up, both before and after. So the lake house, so that house I just let go and have to like figure out because it wasn't worth the fight. And honestly, I didn't even have like the money. Like I had lost my job. I had listings that, Southwest Land Developers that Rick had given me to sell. And whenever Bruce fired me, he took me off of them right away. Like before so Rick's family, well, Rick's estate, I'll say, they would take over his ownership for any of the corporations. So Smugglers, his share in Smugglers, his share in SLD, and like that. Okay. So SLD owned like the landfills and, like like all that property, like they developed in the Airport Commerce Center. And so Rick had put me and, he allowed me to like co-list like these, I call them like big land deals. Right. So Rick's estate, after he passed away, those corporations would go to the estate. Well, you have to, like, that doesn't happen in 24, 48, 72 hours while Bruce is, you know, spiraling. So his daughter would later become the executor of his estate. And so she would be, you know, the estate that she's the executor of would, you know, have the controlling interest of SLD, so to speak. So if I were to be fired, blah, 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 you know, she would have a say. Bruce fires me so fast that, like, so he kind of does all this stuff in this weird window while everyone is still in shock about Rick passing. And he just comes in and, like, takes the SLD computer out of the office. Like I was saying before, when we moved into Muscle Car City for our office, he asked to move SLD's computer from one office into our office in the same building. And Rick said no. No, that computer is staying right where it is. As soon as Rick passed and as soon as he terminated me as a 25% owner, without any say from anyone else or any conversation on some fake stuff, he took that whole computer out of the whole building into his house. Crazy. So again, like, can he legally do it? Like, sure. Like, is it super questionable and weird and like not like absolutely. What about Bank of OZK? Bank OZK is like his main personal bank, but also we had a really good. I'm saying all of the companies basically. I think the majority of them did their banking with Bank OZK. I can't, tell you if they still do, but no one owned Bank OZK. Just had, obviously you have enough accounts with them and enough money with all these businesses. So, two of the bankers were in my cell phone all the time. We could just text them for this, text them for that. So, obviously, there's enough money going in and out of that small bank that they were, going to be very helpful. So Rick's daughter couldn't hire you back. That was sort of the thing. Like in the PCA, it says, Bruce wanted his daughter to come and work like 2 weeks work for him. Okay. And then the PCA makes it sound like I didn't want her to, which could not be further from the truth. And like I said, watch the live from last week and I can explain it more, or you can ask me more specific questions and I can, I've like all of the text proof between all of us that, Bruce's daughter went to school and she's technically a, like an orthopedic doctor, but I don't really think she's ever like worked in that capacity. She kind of he would say she was good at school, but good at school. And so later when he started saying she should come and work for us, this is literally, he's having this conversation at like, right as like when Rick dies. So I was not saying she shouldn't come and work with us. I was saying, 2 weeks ago, I was putting out a potential sexual harassment fire for you following, allegedly following around a young girl who worked for one of the restaurants all over downtown saying that he was going to buy her a house, take care of her and her kid, do everything. She'd never have to work again, all these things. And he was so creepy that she was complaining. And then, one of the other owners of Smugglers had called Rick, I'm in Rick's office. He puts it on speakerphone. Now, this is like the end of September. Rick would pass like mid-October. I'd be fired right after that. So it's like weeks in between this. He has his last, I don't know what this means, but, he has his last girlfriend move out, and then right on the heels of that, he normally would kind of spiral, and then, he goes and hits the town, and all this stuff ensues, and he's on speakerphone, the other owner's on speakerphone telling Rick, like, we need to bring Bruce in, we need to talk to him about this, and see, what actually happened, or did it happen, and all this stuff, and so we do. Bruce says he was drugged, that he doesn't remember anything, falling asleep in Shorty's parking lot. He remembers absolutely nothing. I have all the proof about that. Because he's pretty sure it was drugged. Okay. So that was his excuse. And, where's I going with this? ADD. His daughter. So after that whole sexual harassment thing, and then Rick passes away, and then he's like, also, my ex-wife Barb, and, my mom really wants Brandy to move down here, because at the time they lived in Sarasota, and so, I'm thinking maybe she could learn the businesses, which was hilarious, because Bruce never worked for the businesses. He just gets distributions. So my text messages with him were not, no, she shouldn't work here because I'm stealing money that I have no control to move, ever. It was like, so if Rick was the one with the money, right? If you were going to be a developer or invest in developments, right? You have to have money, a lot of money, and generally like be able to have be like bonded and like all of these things. Bruce did not have the financials to do that on his own, and he didn't have the credit to do it on his own. All of that happened because of Rick/Oz in, the secret lair office. When Rick had to do it on his own, all of that happened because of Rick/Oz in, the secret lair office. When Rick was the one who had the money, Rick was the one who was doing, who would have the backing to be able to make any investments. Without him, there kind of wasn't any job to do for SLD. Did I answer that? Okay. Was I fired from another job after my arrest? Okay, so all this stuff happens in October of 23. I want to say it was early. So I'm freaking out, right? Because I don't have a job. So I basically pay those last 3 months, it was like November, December, January, in a cashier's check to Bruce's mom for my mortgage that I had never in years paid for, and I would stay there, I don't know, probably close to almost, another half a year or more after that, and never pay anything. I did those 3 because of what he was threatening me, but then, went and saw another attorney, and they're like, if you've never paid, then don't assume it now, I'm not an attorney, I don't know these things, so I just kind of freaked out, and so I basically gave them, like, the last of my money, and then which would get me through, to January, and then I say it was, like, early 2024, funny story, but one of his ex-girlfriends, she knows who she is, and she's so sweet, I'm not going to name drop, but she had gotten, moved out, and I would say it's pretty, like, demoralizing the way he does it, has his movers just come. Generally, Bruce would, like, break up with somebody because he'd find somebody else or whatever. He normally would cheat on people toward the tail end of things, or I would say cheating. How do you say this? Bruce would move on before the girl knew that they were separating. From my perspective, well, from the girlfriend's perspective, from basically everyone's perspective. And so he would find something shinier, and then he would have his mover come and move them out of, like, whatever house they were in. And he would either keep it or sell it after, and, have one with another girl. I can't even count the times this man moved while I worked for him. So many times. So this particular girlfriend was the last one whenever before he and I would part ways terribly. And, she is so cool, and she was not, like, the dingy, like, you would see some just, like, after the bunny and all this stuff, like, I felt bad for her because I think she actually thought they had a future, and, yeah, that's, like, hard to watch because, I know that you don't, and so, she meets the family, all these things, thinking all this stuff, and, like, sad for her, but she's super sweet, and I felt really bad for her. So when he had her moved out, like, I would have to go to the house and basically like, supervise the moving out. And I remember after all this stuff happened, he had I think drunk dialed her, like, sometime at the end of 23 or maybe it was the beginning of 24. She's like, I want you to know that, he tried getting back together with me. And I was like, heck no. Why are you even, so he called from a different number, so she didn't know. And he just, was going on and on, get back together. And she was like, heck no, like, not after who you are, not after what you did to me, not after what you've done to Christina. And he's like, I'm going to have her arrested. She's like, get out of here. She was there. He would introduce me to the girlfriends, and he would be like, this is my assistant, I give her everything, I take care of her because she takes care of all my stuff. This is literally how he would introduce me, guys. So for it to be that, and then they're right there seeing all of this, she's like, that's junk. So she had worked for a big company, and she felt bad for me because I had, been going through all of this crazy stuff. And so she had, created, like, a temp position for me at her big job until they could bring me on full-time, all this stuff. So I was making, like, really good money, like, double what I was making for SLD on paper. So probably about the equivalent of what I was making between, both of my jobs prior on this one. And I didn't have to deal with all of the stuff that working, with Bruce entailed. So, I had that job until I got arrested. And then I, of course, like, you have to be let go of that job because it's like, back in, like, the financial industry, and you can't have this big, fake, can't, it's like whenever you think arrested, and up until this point, till this happened to me, I would also think that to be arrested, you would have to have, I don't know, like, actual proof, like evidence, like something, and you don't, like, not if you're Bruce Lashley in Charlotte County. You can have your buddy's friend come and take your homemade spreadsheet and just be like, okay, I believe you. And like I said, if you want super specific details about how I can prove that, go to my YouTube at Lashley Lies, and that last 1 hour, we really kind of slowly and painfully go through a big chunk of this PCA where I show facts on facts on facts, and that's not even any of it. I think we all just got bored of it. So you can't work for that company until you're proven innocent. So here's the thing. Because they were restructuring, I was actually hired through a temp agency because, like, they can't be letting go of people and hiring people simultaneously. And And so bringing me on in a temp way while they kind of restructured some stuff. And like, so they were in the process of bringing me on permanently. But before, so had I been on this company permanently, I had already spoken to their HR and all of that. And they were going to keep me on until I was proven innocent, which would have been, you know, like you're innocent until proven guilty. Apparently not in Charlotte County. You are guilty until proven innocent, especially, you know, when everybody has you all over the news like you did something and just assumes that you have to have proof to be arrested. You don't. Again, go back and watch the last live and I'll show you that you don't. So they were going to, but it was the temp agency's like policy to like separate themselves. Otherwise I would have been able to. So when I say Murphy's Law, like, dude, if it can happen, it's been happening. And I'm totally trusting Jesus. He has been there every single step of the way and shown up, and you know, I could go on and on for days about his providence and how he has brought people into my life and how he has like revealed truth and all the people who have, you know, of all of the people, all the other owners of all the things, everyone that I was in any kind of business relationship or working relationship or friendship even that were close to any of this, there was only one person who like switched up in all of it, which is also ironic, but I'm glad it happened because now I know, right? But everybody else was like, what is happening? Why is he doing this to you? I mean, it's crazy. Yes, zero proof needed. I mean, yeah, we so there's that. I feel like we went round and round and I don't want to keep repeating myself, so ooh, I know. Are there any like attorneys on here? I mean, I like my attorney. I don't need another attorney, but I am interested in anybody who has ever experienced any sort of defamation claim. Anybody? Because I Googled it. I did more than Google it, but yeah, so I've read all over the place that the best defense, sidebar, for defamation is the truth. So yeah, so I guess some people got a little bit upset because I said too much, and I am just, frankly, I've had so many people message me and text me and literally find me 2 weeks in a row in church, man. So they turn around like, you're Christina? I'm like, oh gosh, man. Yeah, but it's way better than them seeing me, you know, in Walmart after my mugshot. Like, at least people now are like, holy, how did this happen to you? I cannot believe. Good for you, you know, giving it back to my intentions are really not to give it back to anyone or start. I have enough chaos in my life, to, you know, to be looking for problems. But I guess, you know, you're so brave or whatever, take down the system, Aaron Brockovich, blah, like, I mean, that's cool. I do get to wear cool t-shirts now, like, and, you know, do this, but honestly, there's nothing that valiant about it. I'm just really tired of keeping everybody's secrets and having it, you know, destroy my life. Like, if I were telling all the truth for the last few years, there's some people running around town who wouldn't be running around town the same way. You know, like, I mean, if you were on family court and you agree on a counselor for all of your children and you and your ex and your new spouse and their 2 children that would later become your stepkids but weren't even your stepkids yet. So this one counselor is seeing all of these people, and then your kid comes to you one day upset and says, oh, one time I was, you know, watching on my dad's iPad and it was connected to his cell phone and it was like, and this is, and I quote, and, you know, reported it to like the Department of Health and have like literally a video of him confess, like, oh, they, like, this is not like, and I'm not saying this is like what it's about, but I'm saying in anything, right? Like, I am so tired of everybody acting like they're only allowed to share their version of the truth. Like, at this point, I'm like, nope, I'm going to share my version of the truth now. So if you running all around town saying I'm going to prison when I'm not is not defamation, then me telling the truth that, you know, my children came to me, and multiple of my children said, oh man, Dad's, you know, cell phone was connected to his iPad, and we were watching a show on his iPad, and these messages between our counselor and him about our counseling session came up, and then, you know, other messages that were not appropriate. How is that defamation? It's literally right. Like, it literally happened. Like, so, I don't know. Sue me? Add it to the list. All these new accounts, all these new accounts set up joining. What does that mean? Like, fake account? Like, oh, like Big Balls last week or whatever? Is that what we're talking about? Oh. Yeah, yep. I know. Because what I would respect at this point is, like, if you could say this stuff to all these people that you don't think are coming and saying it back to me, just, like, put your name on it. Like, my name is on, my face is on here. Like, it's that little leprechaun guy who used to live next door to me. He used to be, like, a male guy. And then there was, like, all the sexual harassment. I don't know if he's still a male guy. But in that Northport Dirty Laundry, he had so much to say. Funny story is, I'm like, what did I ever do to you? You got a DUI, sir, when I lived next to you and I didn't even talk to you or your weird family, and your wife is freaking out, and I went next door to console her. And then you're like in Dirty Laundry saying I used to be your neighbor. Yeah, bro, I used to be your neighbor. See, this is the secret keeping part, right? Like, I'm going to tell the truth too. So just, yeah, I don't know. It's been so strange, the giant double standard, but funny story with that neighbor guy, since he called himself my neighbor, I'll agree with him. He was at one point my neighbor all over Northport Dirty Laundry. I didn't realize we have the same doctor. And it was like, I don't know how many months after I was like arrested and then like out and whatever. But we almost like, you know, they have the doors that, so the doors at my doctor like swing out, but they have like the mirror tent. So you're just looking at yourself. So literally he comes out, like we almost like run into each other and just kind of look. And like, I even kind of stood there for a second and laughed like, okay, little guy, in your Eagles jersey, you have so much to say, but yet here we are and you have nothing to say. So it's just real, like, you know, like some people are just a lot bigger behind fake accounts. I don't know. So lady, come in with your real account. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I was saying that about the others, not her. I know it came out wrong. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to read these things to myself before out loud. Can you guys not see the comments? Can only I see the comments? No, you guys have to see the comments because you can. This is so confusing to me sometimes. Okay. So, anybody? Oh, we all see him. Oh, okay. Well, see? Cake Lady, I'm not even calling you out. People can read. Just kidding. I love her. Yeah, user 55342188446 join. That's original. Oh, fun. So, anyways, defamation, anybody done it? That's hard. I wish at least the fake accounts would like come up with good names. Like, where's Big Balls at today? They were fun-ish. The thing that reads them out loud. See, Bradley, I am apparently Jess might have something for me coming, but we've already upgraded to the iPad this time. And the background, like, I mean, we're moving all up. We're like moving up quickly, you guys. We've got t-shirts. We've got whatever you want to call this. Sabiduria. It's a good time. Tickfinity. Write that in my notebook. I'm probably gonna forget about it though, so somebody remind me. Oh, live studio. See, that's so nice of you. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds cool. Affinity. It's fancy. This is like a whole new world. I honestly, until this, I thought that TikTok was just for dancing. And thank you. And I mean, I guess my kids have put me on some of theirs, but not a ton, because I don't think I was like cool enough, or like, I don't know. I'm a grown up. I don't hang around with teenagers. If you know, you know. Got grown up friends. And everybody who knows anything about this all laughed out loud. Oh, we're saying neighbor out loud. Snappity snap. So I will say, yeah, I'm coming out with all this, one, because I'm allowed to now finally, and if you know me at all, it is super easy to villainize me. I really do it to myself. Because I have no chill. What's the term people use for me? Crash out? Applicable. You will never see me hiding behind 43657 2011. I'm too scared to say my name. Not me. And sometimes that gets you into like a little trouble. But at least I have self-respect. So the way I say it is, you can say and make up lies about me as long as you want to, but the truth comes out, and it's been, I mean, wildly entertaining to watch it begin to come out in different, it's kind of like, you know, when somebody's hung themselves, but they don't even know that they have yet, like got themselves caught up, but they're still thinking they're running the game, and sort of everybody around is like, put the shovel down, like put the shovel down. Or for me, I'm just like, keep digging, it's fine. Yeah. Where on the other hand, I am like the walk up to you, say it out loud person. But in the world of all of this, you have to be so careful what you say, unless I've been told it's the truth. Right? It's been so long. But here's the deal. At this point, I'm sure that Bruce and his daughter and non-Detective Farley would love to wrap this up. I'm sure they'd love, you know, to position themselves to, and it's just my opinion, but, you know, I am like an ID channel expert, kind of, which was not helpful in this actual situation at all. But I have seen some crazy ones. There was a toxic episode, and this girl's nutty ex-boyfriend had got a new girlfriend, and he, and then so somebody was sending the new girlfriend all of these threats, and I think it's like toxic episode 2 or 3 or something. Anyways, it's a goodie. And so somebody was sending this this new girlfriend or whatever of his, like, I guess there's like a dark web, and there's I just got this long list of stuff I'm not allowed to say. So you could go on this particular list that I thought was just for selling things, but apparently you can like solicit different things, not good things. And so they apparently this girl had been getting someone had been sending her these threatening messages, and they kept blaming the ex-girlfriend. Well, long story short, one day, just like me kind of, but somebody knocked on her door, you know, and I think that's how it went. They contacted her, do you know anything about your ex and this new girl or wife or whatever? And she was like, no. But nobody believes us, right? Because crazy people don't say fake things. Strange. So they ask her, she says no. And then they end up going back, whatever. Supposedly somebody from that place that I thought was just for selling things tries to break into her house or something, thinks it's all set up, but it's not. It all ends up being make-believe, guys. But here's the kicker. The ex-girlfriend or fiance who lived in the condo first with the boyfriend who was a U.S. Marshal, okay? So again, I'm not saying that my old next-door neighbor could call the police and say that I did this and it would work. So most of you guys are probably safe. But even in this toxic episode, that that U.S. Marshal could call the police and kind of be taken, you know, more seriously than the average Joe / Christina / Eagles neighbor. And things like clearly you don't need anything except for what they say. So in this particular episode of Toxic, which is wild, this U.S. Marshal has a new girlfriend or fiance. They're claiming all of this. They're blaming the ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend gets arrested for like I think it was like it was attempted something, but it was bad. Okay, bad. So she's just going about her life, and then all of a sudden, knock knock, you're arrested because this U.S. Marshal, your ex-boyfriend, and his new girlfriend or fiance, I can't remember now, say that you did XYZ. Big charge, too. I mean, like, not like, you know, I'm pretty sure that she stole, oh, get out of here, man. I'm pretty sure she stole this money from me, but I also forgot that, she has all of the texts and proof and CPA emails and everything that would prove otherwise. Like, I'm not sure why this was ever even taken any kind of seriously, but, again, I digress. So in this toxic episode, she's arrested, and her dad comes on and says, that he basically, his daughter calls him from jail, and he's like, man, your, like, bond or bail or whatever it is, you know, after she was checked in, was like insane, like 80 grand, 100 grand, like something, it was like a lot, or maybe it's $1 million. It was going to take like 10,000, something like that. It was really high. And the dad's like, listen, we can use this money to get you a really good attorney, or we can like bail you out. And she's like, no, like, get me an attorney. She's completely blindsided. Okay. Just like I was on this like regular day. And, so she chooses, like, to sit in jail, right? Like, so me, like, what do you do at the house? I mean, you let it go. Like, what do you do? Like, here you go. You still have to, you know, feed your kids. You still have to try to find another job after your, like, face like this all over, like, Fox News, Wink News. And a little Alex from Fox News, bro. It's so funny. Even if he wanted my actual story now, I would never give it to him, because homeboy had, like, he's the first people, like, she did this and this and this. And he doesn't want the whole truth. He just wanted to say his part, and that's Bruce's part, and that's it. So I'm not sure, but I trust zero journalists, that they call themselves, screen people, blah. Anyways, so this girl is sitting in jail. This just normal girl, never been in jail before, never did anything like wrong, no like record, and she's just in jail now on this huge charge because because she made the mistake of dating a crabby U.S. Marshal. And, you know, like, I made the mistake of, you know, working for a guy who I had no former knowledge of and did not know the person that he was. I would not even come to know the depravity until the very end. And it's actually funny because after I was terminated, I was, you know, crying, a whole mess and whatever. And I went to Rick's daughter and I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. And she said, I'll never forget it. She looked at me and said, you did just say that you didn't want to go back to just working for him. And I just remember looking at her, and I think we were all in a certain amount of shock anyways, because Rick had literally just passed. But it was still kind of like this like pseudo comedic moment where we were just both standing there, and I was like, I mean, yeah, but like not like this. And so anyway, so that was funny. But, and then, you know, when I would check myself into jail, I did find the two women who were in the cell for that short amount of time with me when they did the changeover. And I'm hoping it would be so fun if they would like come on. I messaged them. So if you're watching, check your like Facebook Messenger spam. And like, it would be so funny to sit together and hear my experience from their perspective. Because after I got like bailed out, after the bond thing, after all these things, you have to watch the other episode so we don't just steady repeat myself. But the one girl's like, we were getting checked out at the same time, and she was sitting next to me, and she's like, you really don't look like you belong here. And I was like, I know, I don't. And then she's like, and I was like, I just work for, you know, like a rich guy. And I don't know, it's all very confusing. I had to like turn myself in so I could even figure out what was being said. And then even yesterday, someone was questioning me, like, what would have happened if you just wouldn't have done that? And honestly, I don't even know. Like, they told me if I didn't go to explain my side of this fake situation they told me nothing about, then they would have no choice but to believe the person who was accusing me of whatever. They never even said what I was getting accused of. It's all confusing. But then it was like, well, you have to turn yourself in because they're gonna, you know, Charlotte County, like Bruce's friends, like they're gonna issue this arrest warrant anyways, and we're not even gonna know what it is unless you know, check yourself in, which is why we did that. But then somebody yesterday was like, but what if you didn't? Like, then what? Would they have had to like prove more to get an actual like arrest warrant? Like, I don't know how that works because maybe I folded too soon. I am not a professional criminal, you guys, so I don't know that answer. But anyways, back to my story about the toxic episode. So the girl, hold on, I have to solve a puzzle. So, okay, I got it right. Took me two times. Almost lost you. So in this episode, so she's sitting in jail, not for, hours like I was. I think it was something like 8 months, you guys. 8 months. And then finally, her dad, which I've also known, if you ever get yourself in any situation like this, one, get an attorney quickly, because what I have learned 1,000,000,000% is I need to step up my hundo. I'm going to be better after this, you guys. So I have learned that innocent people get attorneys. The end. Don't talk to the police. They are not your friend. Which is absolutely opposite of what we were taught when we were children. It's like, stop teaching your kids that. Lawyer up, man. So one, innocent people get attorneys. And two, yeah, like, this girl, like, you have to be, even though you get an attorney, you, especially something like this, you still have to be, like, you are your best defense attorney. You have all the facts, you know all the things, hence all my binders and Dropbox of information, right? Like, you are hiring an attorney to advocate for you, but you still are doing so much of the attorney work as far as evidence goes. You know, like, I just took the PCA and started finding screenshots, texts, emails, every single thing that I had from the whole entire time I ever worked for him, and just started just created a different folder, and just behind every couple, points on the PCA, I just put fact, like a little, explanation. And man, it also helps you because you feel sane, right? Like, you start to feel insane going through this. And then when you start putting the facts with the PCA, you're really like, they can really do it. Like, this really just happened. Like, am I gonna get like my own like ID channel now, or like, what do I get out of this? Like, I hope something good, because the story is crazy, and I haven't even. No, Bruce has not been deposed yet. So as much as I am telling you guys, trust me, there's a lot that is not being said. Because we just want to let people say what people are gonna say. All of you saying all the things. Keep saying all the things. I love it for you and for me. But anyway, so this girl she's in jail, so she like cannot be her, obviously she can't be her own defense attorney. She's sitting in jail. She doesn't have the money to be bailed out and, get this legal defense. So her dad in this toxic episode comes on, and he's like, I became a detective, and I was giving all of these, he's like, this whole entire thing in this episode was solved by something as simple as, I don't know, you guys, an IP address. The dad of the accused ex-girlfriend, was like, the IP address from the computer that was sending the threats is coming from the same condo that the threats are being received, that the U.S. Marshal and the new girlfriend or fiance live at. And then take it a step further, it was from the same computer as the U.S. Marshal. And even better, do you know who never ended up getting charged for this crime? So the innocent girl gets out. After she has lost her reputation, her face is all over her local news everywhere, and her crime was way bigger than mine. I'm not allowed to say the unalive word, but it was something, or I am allowed to say unalive, not the other words. Something like that, like really bad. And so literally her whole entire life was hinging on, like how much work her dad was doing to get to her defense attorney on the outside. And so it all comes down to this U.S. Marshal new girlfriend are making all of this, these false things up. She gets arrested with zero proof. Dad is out, IP address. Even after, you guys have to watch this, even after he has the proof, the IP, the condo, the IP address, all the stuff. Like, and so that's the thing where it's like, well, Bruce needs to hurry up. This is getting dragged out. Well, like, this is not Bruce civilly suing me. Bruce would have made a false police report with his fake detective, and his fake detective signed it with apparently an actual notary. And then I turned myself in because it was like, this is what is happening. And we didn't even know why. And so then the ball is in motion. Well, now you're at the mercy of, the 12th Circuit Court, or like whatever. I think it's called 12. I think. I've never went to a court date. Like, most of them have just been like case management. I don't even know what happens at these case managements. The only time I've gone in front of a judge was with the real judge in the fake judge room on the video. Like I told that story before too. Oh, 20th. Oh crap, I was way wrong. 20th. Okay. So see, I'm like not even a good criminal, you guys. Frick. So I saw that one. And I even did that wrong because I wore the red sweatshirt. Everybody else wearing cream, and I had to go first. I mean, I got to go first, but I had to go first. And I didn't know that you're supposed to walk out and share with the rest of your friends, like what your bail or bond or whatever was. And so I didn't. And then I realized that, I would have participated had I known. Like, I'm pretty sure mine was the highest of the day, which is like wild. The girl next to me is like, girl, what'd you do? And I was like, I don't even know yet. I have to find out. Literally our conversation. What? And so anyways, this girl gets out of, you know, the toxic thing, but her life is like destroyed. And so the girl who does end up getting arrested for real is the new girlfriend or fiance who was saying that she was being threatened or whatever. But the computer, like the IP address was from her, you know, ex-boyfriend, whatever, like he was, and U.S. Marshal, and he never got charged. Just out here rogue, doing whatever you want with the badge. That's scary. My husband was even like, I don't know, you should drive your car in Charlotte County. Like, what if, whatever. I'm like, what if they, like, what? Like, are they going to arrest me for pretend again? Like, how many times can we do this now? So if I don't show up on TikTok at some point, because we're supposed to do this at least 2 times a week, at least for an hour, I think, in the rules. So I'm trying. But if I, like, don't show up, then somebody bail me out. So I'm trying. But if I, like, don't show up, then somebody bail me out. It wasn't going to actually be like an actual trial date. So, you know, kind of some of the opinions floating around there is that, you know, if Bruce is not a decision maker, even here, imagine that. It's kind of funny. You got to find the humor in this stuff, right? I also have a little bit of twisted humor anyways, but so he's not even a decision maker here. So Bruce can't make this stop at this point. This is a criminal. He, you know, he said that he was a victim to a crime and that I was the perpetrator of said crime. And so once that happens, who knew it could happen without evidence, just like toxic, just like me, like, well, if the person is, you know, powerful enough and then, you know, it can happen. And then people just ask questions later, I guess. So we've not even gotten to the place where I can show my book of evidence or any of this. The same as on the toxic episode, even though the dad had all of the IP, like, I mean, I can prove this was not my daughter. You don't just get to walk into the courtroom and be like, hey, you know, like, I guess, like everybody's saying they're super backed up, which is like, just like, can we have like the fake ones move to like the left and everybody else? It's like, just, it would probably free up some of the line. I'm just saying. Like an audit, like where's like the Doge of like the 20th Circuit Court? Did we just make one? Should we make one? We should. Somebody needs to be like auditing some of this stuff, or like, I don't know, somebody like not just let Charlotte County do whatever they want. Something like that. I don't know. So anyways, so the dad and the toxic couldn't make it stop, and, you know, neither can any of us. The most that Bruce can do, or Brandy, or whomever, like I said, I did tag her on my first Instagram post because I'm not allowed to talk to Bruce, but her name wasn't in there, so I did tag her on the first one so that she could also see the book of stuff, because I kind of feel bad for her. Like, if you're just believing what your dad said, you is about to be embarrassed, sweetheart. You should ask more questions, kind of like knowing who your dad is. Like, I didn't even know him as long as you, and I wouldn't have trusted him at this point if he came. Like, so many girlfriends, like, after even that thing, he said, you know, oh, because Bogle Law said that I was their client, which, again, watch my last live. No, they never said that. We can prove it. But also, not only did they not say that, attorney-client privilege, but also the non-detective, Christopher Farley, didn't even ask if Bruce was ever a client of theirs, which he was. He was, okay? And I can prove it. And do you know why he was? Because he had a girlfriend that he gave a $240,000 ring to. I could go and find and read exactly what it was. They had like a boat slip together, all these things. And once they broke up, he sent her a demand letter from Bogle saying, I want all of this stuff back. And she was fun because she was like, no. And she got her own lawyer. And Bruce didn't win. So, but like, even though like, so he is very retaliatory in nature, obviously, like, this is not like the first, oh, she kept everything, girl. Like, her own Erin Brockovich. Yeah, she's a baddie. And, she's like my role model, basically. And what was I saying with that? Yeah, so the dad and the toxic thing had to wait for like whatever court date where they were going to be able to say, here you go, here is, you know, the proof that this didn't actually happen, because it turns out that like it doesn't really matter what the truth is, and you're, you know, like, you're in the system, like, until you're not. And so I don't get to pick when. I would have, so all the exes are your friends now. A lot of them. They kind of were before. Some of them didn't like me from the jump, and a couple of them, I think, thought they were about to get richer than they were, you know, so acted like I was the help, and it's embarrassing for them after the fact when I was helping move their stuff out and whatever. But, yeah. But even still, you know, like, I'm not going to change who I am for, like, the, you know, like, if you did it for money or whatever, there was surely an exchange, like, you know, the girl comes in to get the, you know, the girlfriend package, and, you know, he gets the pretty girl. I get it, but, you know, we don't have to be mean to each other. Yep, some of them, yep. Witness, yes, some of them. If even necessary, man. Like, that's the thing. I'm like, I don't really even need witnesses. Like, I have a whole book of evidence. Like, but yeah, I have them if we need them. I don't really see how I get that far. So, like I was saying, the only thing, Bruce can't just be like, and done now, right? He doesn't make decisions for the 20th Circuit Court or whatever. All Bruce can really do, or anybody in this situation, so you know, like, you say someone committed a crime against you, you're rich, they get it notarized, that person gets arrested, humiliated, loses her job, it's all brought up all over the place, like, you know, everybody who now wants to sue me for defamation, though, gets to first run around and say all these things about me that aren't true. Okay, not really sure how that works, but, and then try to, sue me for defamation for telling the truth? Google it. So the most I think that Bruce can do, and again, I'm not an attorney, obviously. I'm already a terrible criminal. But I'm pretty sure it's just, like, not cooperate. I think he can just say that he doesn't want to be a witness, and then, you know, like, there's no, like, case. But I'm sure he would love for that to happen. I don't want that to happen because, you know, like, you get to just accuse someone of something, make it up, make a false police report, ruin someone's life and reputation, drag my kids, my family. My husband is a firefighter. There was literally, like, an official email sent through the ranks about me, you know, just like he had asked if he could send, and my husband sent it, you know, just kind of explaining this is not what it looks like. Like, how embarrassing, like, for him, for my kids, for my family, like, and none of this is true, okay? So, like, now my son did go to, he came home from work yesterday, and he said, so, hey, Wendy, who works with my son, he came home and said, oh, you know, this girl who works with me, her name is Wendy, and she was watching your lives, and she was like, you know, oh, your mom is such a baddie or whatever, you know, like, good for her, like, blah, blah, blah. And he came home, and I felt really bad. It's like, here we go again. You know, I knew kind of opening this thing up was going to bring out the trolls, you know, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 20, 22, 9. I'm too scared to say my name people. Big balls, those ones. And so I was like, I don't, like, put my kids through this again, you know, all that. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. Like, was that, like, embarrassing for you? And he's like, no, I thought it was awesome. And I was like, yeah. So we have that going for us, right? And, but yeah, so the most I think that can happen as far as Bruce is concerned is he can just not cooperate, and, you know, I don't know, it doesn't just get dismissed, dissolve at that point. I'm sure that he and not Detective Farley and his daughter Brandolyn would love for that to happen. This just all go away. But for me, heck no. Like, I mean, give me a jury. Like, where are my rights? I did see somebody earlier say something about a speedy trial. So apparently when you get, like, an attorney, they waive the right to speedy trial for whatever reason. Again, I'm a bad criminal, and clearly I'm even a worse attorney, so I don't know, I probably should know, but I do know that I waived my right to that for whatever reason. Am I going to jury him? I don't know what that is. Sue him. Oh, am I going to sue him? I mean, would you? Definitely not walking away. But we'll see where the wind takes us. Might end up on Zimmel Road before the episode of Toxic. I don't know. My friends already know what to do at my funeral, though, so worst case scenario, it'll be popping. Bruce is not invited. Yeah. I don't know who IDK is, but I like it. No, and it wasn't to the west. It was to the east. It was not to the west. Get it right. It's just a joke. I really don't know anything about Oh, user 796560. These are cracking me up. Oh. Okay, man. So 8:30, 9:30. Are we good now? Okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm gonna do coming up, and then I'm gonna go shower. Because look at how shiny my face is. And my kid was supposed to have a volleyball game tonight, and one of my kids, and I guess each kid on the team one time during the season gets to bring the team dinner, you know, so they have like a varsity girl and JV girl provide the team dinner for all of the kids. So today was our night, so I pre-ordered Publix chicken for, 30 people. And then I canceled the game. So I'm going to come back on live Friday, I think. Probably at 9 for all you grown-ups out there. And I'm probably still going to be eating this popcorn chicken Friday at 9. But in the meantime, I'm going to post some, shorts to my TikTok. And I'm just going to go, line by line PCA. 3-4 minute video, just, line 1. This is what it says. I'm going to get this Tickfinity or something, live studio, so you guys can see the documents. I'm going to bust out line for line through the whole PCA. And show you how all these people trying to sue me for defamation are liars. Thank you for all the badges or whatever that means. I love this little mic. I should have been doing this the whole time. Give me a jury trial. Give me a jury trial. I'm going to get that on t-shirt too. Man, I'm going to sell me t-shirts by the end of this. Frick. Okay, one more. So wait, I have one more. Why didn't the first assistant not want to be the assistant no more? Look at my arm just disappeared. And then let you be the assistant. So there was a good chunk there were years between that. Don't know. She started working for another company. She started working for the engineer company. Right, the same thing, right? Work for Bruce and this. He used to tell her, I'll pay you, just watch TV. Bruce just, can't be by himself. He needs, a wingman. Kind of just getting, paid for to, be the wingman. And then hers was way less than mine because his wife at the time controlled his whole life. His words. So by the time I came on, Bruce was already going rogue. And so, really, I came on and kind of just became, the wrangler, Olivia Pope Penagorda minus, the president, that. Does that make sense? Yeah, so there were assistants between us, but I couldn't tell you very much about them because I had no idea who he was until I came, so. Okay. So, thank you all for joining. I'm going to go and eat this chicken for the rest of my life. And I will be back on live Friday at 9. So bring your good questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to commit to at least 3 less than 5 minute videos that I'm just going to post to my TikTok going through the PCA. And done. Good? All right. Good night, all. Especially all you secret people. Keep coming, guys. You don't bother me.